Collective Impact Hubs are forums that enable progressive and constructive discussions on important issues in the community. This year, Malvern has decided to host a virtual Collective Impact Hub to discuss the various challenges that the community has faced due to the COVID-19 pandemic and how the community can look forward to through stable community development and resiliency.
We appreciate your time and commitment to engage in these important conversations to build back communities that we live, work, and learn in. Alan and I are proud of the work that Trinity does to support youth in the community and are very excited to take part in tonight's event.
Yes, Trinity Theatre was founded in 1982 as a theatre production company. But over the years, we've expanded our mandate and role to support the development of communities across Canada, with our primary work still completed in Ontario. Through the use of arts and intergenerativity, we have built programs to support youth development using a social-emotional framework that builds future student leaders within the community.
As a community, it's important to reflect on how we can support each other during this time and look to our leaders to enact and support change.
We would like to introduce our first guest speaker of the night, who will be speaking on how community members can come together to support each other as we build back businesses, schools, and relationships in the Malvern community.
Life's been difficult. It's been difficult for the last 8 months. But what I want to assure you today is that for businesses, we'll have all the supports available for most businesses to get to the other line. What we won't be able to do is, help everyone. We will have people who don't fit these molds and who may have to look at alternatives. And I think that's where the government needs to double our efforts to support people through transitioning into another business or another type of employment.
So as you know, there has been a growing sentiment against the use of personal protective equipment, especially masks, by individuals who feel that wearing these masks aren't as important to protect themselves and others. What advice can you give for those who are trying to follow public health guidelines to reduce these cases and protect both themselves and their families and friends?
So if you look at us as a percentage of the overall population, I think we've done quite well. We've had some challenges, right? We've had challenges with, lately it's been with young people. Initially started off with senior homes. Virtually every single encounter I've had, people have been wearing a mask. There hasn't been a single person that said, I'm not wearing a mask. Where I think we've slipped is I think we've all been in this moment. It's been very difficult, I think, as we get into 8 and now 9 months saying, oh, how long is this going to go on for? Look, I give up and I'm going to go back to, living as normal. I'll take the consequences. And it's not that simple, right? Because it's not just about you, it's also about the people that you live with, the people you care about, because, you can be that spread. And it's about making sure that we have a longer term view to say we are going to get out of this at some point.
It's been hard for mom and pop stores and local services. Will anything be done to provide support to those that want to bring back communal events and gatherings, such as flea markets and farmer markets?
Oftentimes it's a dream, it's a life savings, it's all of those things that have gone into putting a store together, and ultimately many of these stores are impacted. In terms of our festivals, how we come back together in flea markets, I think we'll all come back together, but maybe not in the same way, but definitely those larger gatherings will happen, but we have taken a pause until COVID's done.
The COVID-19 pandemic has significantly prevented a lot of youth from accessing employment opportunity. Our shift to hybrid learning, in-person, virtual, or both, have impacted students and their ability to learn and complete their studies effectively.
The concept that we are stronger together is exactly why I am here. It's exactly why I know my colleague Gary Anandasangaree is here. We're here because we believe that by working together, we can be a stronger community. And it's so wonderful to see the youth lead this discussion and lead this conversation, because when it comes down to making change, the more we can engage young people in driving the change that they want to see, the more successful we will be in creating better outcomes. So let me start off by saying that I know COVID has been incredibly challenging. We see that people who are not privileged being faced with additional barriers. They have already faced barriers in their participation in society, and with COVID, it creates an extra layer of barriers because of the fact that was pointed out earlier. Employers are not hiring as much, businesses are not as successful, groups that are doing good work in the community perhaps don't have as many resources to do the work that they normally do, or they have transformed some of their work into COVID relief. Whether it's food banks, delivering groceries for seniors, or engaging the more vulnerable communities to keep them safe from the pandemic. So we see how in times of crisis, those problems that exist in society become even bigger problems. And so the presentation we saw really highlighted that impact for our young people in an area like Malvern that is very dense in terms of having a lot of youth, younger population. It is a racialized population. It is a population that has been over time stigmatized in the media, the way Malvern is characterized and stereotyped. And I do believe that that has slowly changed and is becoming more and more positive. But with that said, we have issues that become exasperated. So what does that mean for all of us? It means that we need to continue to ensure that areas like Malvern continue to receive the support. The Newcomer Center serves to help new immigrants settle into Canada. It serves to connect new immigrant youth, whether it's providing them with social support, emotional support, settlement services, language training. These are essential services that help create a more equitable society. We should all be incredibly proud of our Malvern neighborhood. I have to say, it is one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the entire country. And we as Canadians so much value how incredible our diversity is, but how that richness really brings our country together. And it certainly is something that as Canadians, we ought to be proud of. So I only have things to say that celebrate the incredible diversity of Malvern. At all levels of government, we are supporting the great work that is happening in Malvern and supporting the people. Because I have to say, sometimes we do get a bad rep. When you look at Pearson, for example, it is an amazing school, and people still have a stigma around Pearson and the Malvern community. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I believe that we can solely transform that image because of the excellence that we can find in Malvern and the great work that is being done. And if I can say, Trinity Theatre is just one other example of that. I remember meeting Alan and Sandra probably about 9 years ago when they were starting a group and they wanted to come into Malvern. And to me, when I see a good program, I don't wait and I don't hesitate. And I immediately contacted the principal, who was Peter Paulseth at the time. And I said, we have to sit down and we have to talk about how we can make sure Trinity Theatre is able to support the work here at the school. We were able to get Canada Summer Jobs funding, which I know has been able to support two of the youth that are being hired that are doing this great work. And I want to say that know that there are allies and champions and people who are with you, shoulder to shoulder, to make a positive difference. And we can slowly change that image, and we can make sure that the work that we're doing is sustainable, long-term, and continues to grow in the weeks, the months, and the years ahead.
So this concludes our virtual collective impact hub. We would like to thank our guest speakers for taking time out of their busy schedule to speak to us. And in addition, we would like to thank all the participants for attending.